sometimes Whitman, sometimes Kerouac. Corso makes her laugh. She loves Carl Sandburg. She calls it poetry. She'll sit in my lap while I ask, who should we read today? Shelley? No. Frost? No. How about Mother Goose? No. Well, who then? And she pokes me in the chest. Me? Daddy! And we read the Moo Moo poem, and the Mommy poem, and the poem about chickens, until she falls asleep. So don't ask me what it means. Haven't got a clue, you know. I just know we love the words, despite the heartache, and the boo-boos, and the bloody mess of it all. I just know we love the words. It's an important connection, and that's good enough for me. This second poem, I wrote at 2:43 a.m. crying in
Just like her dad.
Kind of glad my little brother's left at this point. I keep looking for you. All these faces telling me how sorry they are. They're as broken as I am. They blur together this horrible fleshed monster of I am here for you whenever you need, whenever I need. I can't breathe, Daddy. My fingers keep twitching, waiting for your grasp. You always held my hand through anxiety. I have to hold myself now, I guess. 1, 2, 3, our own little code. I never said it enough. You didn't get to see me graduate. Hell, I haven't made it to prom yet. How are you supposed to walk me down the aisle? I don't. It's his birthday today. Where are you? I keep listening for the click of your camera. I guess this makes me the man of the house now. Footsteps much too big to fill, I always said. I'm scared, Papa. Everyone keeps saying what a legend you were. Renaissance man, local hero. You weren't a myth for me. Even a king has a prince, even a pirate has a heart. I'm beating and beating. If I beat hard enough, maybe, just maybe I can restart. Say hi to you that morning. Give an extra hug. Anything. I'm scared, Papa. This next one is a little bit about family and a little bit about poetry. Yeah. And it's one of my favorites. It's called Guilt. As a child, I so loved the sea. It was, after all, where my father lived. He'd cross the doorway, tales of brine and faraways, the air of salt abroad, and always she returned, the sailor to his home, to his wife, his sons, and I knew gratitude. And I would pray to the ocean. I'd sing to her at night, under the cover of a mistress moon. She seemed so young before these ancient waters. In retrospect, it reminds me of Grandmama and my mother, ever the girl in her presence taken to task over some perceived failing. I would pray to the sea, and she'd guide a too-soon wearied heart through gray suns, day-lit fog, gasoline ardor, and soothe. And once my name was a sea dream. I fancied myself born of a vast imagination, set forth on dry land in aspiration, an inspired whimsy bestowed upon too hard clay, an attempt to reclaim the scattered conch shells ground into our foundations, each whispering the secret history of dreams sent before to shore, where it's wave over wave, sea over bow. I'm as happy a man often as the sea will allow. And yet I am no sailor, but a poet, and poets sail a different sea. Poets are whores. We are whores. We prostitute pathos and pain. We reap suffering and tragedy. We hunt truth like a whale, a white whale. The captain has gone to the topmast high with a spyglass in his hand. Oh well, oh well, oh well, cries he, and she blows at every span. Brave boys, and she blows at every span. We can't stop ourselves. Poetry is a madness of sorts, not unlike old Habs, and there are days wherein, much like his, our prize is not worth the price. The whale was struck and away she went with a flourish of her tail. Alas, alas, and we lost 4 men, but we did not catch the whale. Brave boys, but we did not catch the whale. I do not want to write this poem. I want no part of this. But the poem, it swells and snarls within, and I cannot let go, and I need to let go, because I cannot fathom this truth. I cannot plumb these depths. I cannot understand, and I tried to understand. I tried to comprehend the loss of 14,000 souls in an instant, in a moment. I thought to myself, 14,000, that's like if everyone I know and everyone they know just disappears. But then, 20 minutes later, that figure doubled, and suddenly all the people who know the friends of my friends, well, they're gone too. And then the next morning, that number tripled, and everyone in a 5-mile radius is gone. And then 170,000, and then 250,000, and it's just too much. Too much. Too much, too much. And it's this fucking wave of death running over the interconnectedness of it all. And it's too big. I'm sorry. I can't. I just can't. I walked to the edge of the sand tonight, kicked off my shoes tentatively, stepped to the water's edge, heard her plaintive cry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You are all so small. I did not know. I didn't know.
I don't know about y'all, but I think I need a little time to get myself together after listening to that incredible performance by Jeff's daughter. Let's give her another hand. I want to say I'm really impressed with her, and I just can't wait to see what the future holds for her. I just got a feeling her dad is really proud of her right now. Geez. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I got a Facebook message from Jeff asking me if me and a good friend of mine who's here tonight, Ryan Nixon, who's the drummer of Death House Blues as well, if we wanted to form a band with him. And I said yes for a couple of reasons. Number one was, well, it's Jeff Hewitt, and he's really talented, so of course I'm going to say yes to that. And number two, because Jeff has wrote some great band reviews of Death House Blues in Alt Daily as well as Antonym, And I was afraid if I said no, we would never get another good band review ever again. So, right, Ryan? So, I mean, of course I was going to say yes. It was a no-brainer. And because I said yes and I seized that opportunity, I was lucky enough to spend the night before Jeff was taken from this world in his living room, practicing music for this new project that we were going to undertake. And I just can't say how lucky I feel. I don't feel worthy to be the one. There's probably so many people in this room and family of his that should have had that time with him if they didn't get it, instead of just some random guy like me. But nevertheless, I feel really lucky, and I felt like I needed to write about that. And so I dusted off my old poetry skills and scrambled to write this up. And so it's not perfect, but I think that it captures my last hours with Jeff. So here it is. Legs crossed, foot up, eyes closed, posture slouched over a worn-out couch, hand choking a guitar neck, fingers bending nickel-plated strings until blues notes surrendered and screamed out. He sang R.L. Burnside songs, singing "Going Down South, going down south, going down south, where the chilly winds blow." Breaks taken with cigarettes in mouth, only removing it to let smoke and political opinions come out. Y'all know Jeff, don't you? And he sang, "Going down south, going down south, going down south, where the chilly winds blow." We dreamed of a new band. I suggested band names: Deacon Bones, Mother Wolf, The Killing Floor, and Terror Jones. He said no. You know Jeff. He said no. He said no. We are sons of Tharn. Animals paralyzed by fear. "Who's afraid?" I said. "Me," he said, "every time I get on the stage." Now, I don't believe in heaven or God, but I like to think he's in a nice place where the chilly winds don't blow. Thank you.
Yeah.
One more time for Crystal. So, for a lot of us that discovered the venue around the same time that I did, just like there was an urban safari kind of circle of poets, we developed the same sort of love here at the venue. And Jeff used to tell me that our particular little ragtag band of artists kind of reminded him a lot of his particular ragtag band of artists. And one of the things that we had in common with each other is that a lot of us didn't really have very good relationships with some of our actual family members. And the art scene in this venue gave us an opportunity to kind of handpick our own brothers and sisters. And Jeff was very much an older brother to me. I love that man so much. He had a way of making people just achieve their truest potential. When Jeff published my first book, he wrote my intro, and in it, he wrote, I have met my replacement. His name, George Mendez. And I was like, you're full of shit, but that's really cool. And he can sell bullshit, boy. Boy, can he sell bullshit. And I posted about something about, I've been posting a lot. I've just been kind of venting along. And Andrea said that he did, in fact, say that when I wasn't around.
He did.
And I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything more beautiful to me other than when my wife said yes when I asked her to marry me. I'll take that with me forever. There was no replacement for Jeff Hewitt anywhere. I'm just thankful for the time that I got to spend with him and the things that I got to learn from him. As I'm sure a lot of you did, kind of just went on a journey through a lot of his writings and music and his Instagram. And I noticed something on his Instagram. There are a lot of pictures of this one particular individual. There are more pictures of this individual on his Instagram than even of himself on his Instagram. This individual's, I also call my brother. He's my roommate. He's my best man in my wedding. Please put your hands together for Darrell Clark.
Where to begin? Yeah, I met him here at the venue. Over time, it was like what, 2014? So 2015, when the beginning of 2015, I was going through a real fucked up time. George was meeting with Jeff to talk about getting his book published. Like, yeah, man, I'm going out to meet with Jeff at Cafe Stella or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You want to roll with me? I was like, hell yeah, I need to get the fuck out of the house. So we went up there, and I fell in love with the place, and then that became like another home for me. And sure enough, whenever I go there, I'd see him fucking typing away, or if I just pull up, he'd be like outside, pacing back and forth, smoking the stove. What's up, bro? Tap me up and shit. Like, what's up, man? Yeah, this guitar, he played this quite a bit when I'd be hanging out at Stella's. It's like on the front patio and shit, just practicing or writing and just fucking around. And yeah, I didn't know that I dominated his Instagram. That's pretty fucking sweet.
It's almost a little weird.
That is. You know what I mean? Look
strange.
anyway, but it's true though, cause like that, I met him 2015, that winter, and then I did my first like photo shoot with him. I never had like any promo photos done of me ever, from what I can remember. You know what I'm saying? And I noticed his skills behind the camera, so I was like, yo, man, I would love to do a shoot with you sometime. It was like, yeah, man, meet me at Stella's and we'll just walk around and shit, whatever. And we did that was the first photo shoot that summer. And when I got the photos back, I was just like, had this guitar with me too, and I was just blown away. Like, I've never had somebody, I don't know, it made me see a lot in myself that I did not know was there. Yeah. Despite like me being, you know what I'm saying, like a performer and shit. Like I didn't have the same amount of like strength in my step and my words and just in my presence until that. And then we did multiple ones after that. We did one at the Chrysler Museum. I was like, yo man, you know, rolling around in Chrysler. He was like, all right, fuck yeah. And then I was like, oh shit, you for real? He was like, yeah. And so he was like, I was like, is that gonna be like, can I bring my guitar with me? Like, do you think they'll have the issue? He was like, motherfucker, do you know who you're talking to? It's up Hewitt. Of course, like, you're good. I was like, you're right, man, you're right. But, you know, when he step back and he look at you like this, that's when you know. But yeah, he ain't take no shit, man. He definitely showed me a lot. He definitely confirmed a lot within myself and within a lot of people out here and just in the scene in general. Poetry and music and, you know, shit. School boards, city council meetings, all that shit. It was so everywhere all the fucking time. And like running laps around somebody like me, like he's doing like 8 different things, and here I am, like, man, I'm fucking beat. Like all I did was go to work and do some practicing. Like, what the fuck? But he, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, but he, I was outside Stella's one day, and I was like taking a break from writing and shit. And, what's up, Daphne?
Hey.
And he took my guitar. It was like, I want to show you something. I'm like, what you got for me? And he started fucking around with the tune pegs and shit. And I was like, what the fuck is that? He was like, it's open G. That's the soul of the blues, brother. And I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. And I started just fucking around, you know what I mean? And then gave it back to me, and then I started fucking around. I'd never played an open G before. And I wrote a couple things on guitar that night because of that. Wrote a couple songs out of that I wouldn't have written had it not been for him. It's punk rock to the core, man. Before I get into the song, I want to share this one little thing. I was thinking about him all fucking day today. I wish I had called out of work. Shout out to Heidi and Cheryl back there for being here with me. So this is back in 2016 when I was really dove into the world of punk. Like I was a fan, you know what I'm saying, prior to, but that year was a very serious year for me. So like texting him one night, I was like, so I met this woman last night at the London Town premiere in OG. I asked a bunch of questions. She said that punk died when Reagan got into office. What are your thoughts on that? That was at 10:31 a.m. This was like October, and then he texted me back at 7:49 p.m. talking about some. Do you know what the first punk said to the second punk? And I was like, fuck the government? And his reply, his answer was, you're not punk. So I was like, and this night I was at a show. I was at Strike Anywhere and War on Women, and some other bands were playing at this when Shockers were still Shockers. And I was like, yeah, I'm at a punk show right now. You're not punk might have been said like 8 times already. I was like, band on stage now is War on Women or Women, don't know, but they killing it. I staged Dove and Moss a couple times tonight for the first time. Am I punk now? And he just laughed and he said, I love you. You're awesome, man. But no, you were not punk. So we kept on talking shit after that. It was great. But yeah, those photo shoots that we went on were very confirming for me. It was a lot. I'm gonna shut up now and play this song. I haven't played this in a long time. I've only played it a few times actually. Do my best. overdoses. This morning was the focus, my patrolling sideways, open eyes, bad scope was told, grooving to this. Power through this work, straight at the post office to get me back on quick. To continue the bliss of a marriage, we wed July 5th, 06. Remember the nights I spit, yeah, bro. Within 6 months, a fucking prick got neglected, tryst, bullshit, bigger than this. Whole kitchen spin flip, not just the chef's prep. Table the station, one like that slipped off, banana strip. Stay sharp as the motto of the Dr. Fugino Boogie, had it before not hollow. By the top compounds, I compromise when I swallow, spit waves or jewels, hip spirits. Jump into tribal stylings and my lineage. Gave me, showed me this. Guess it makes sense. While music from the Caribbean, left me an impression. Not from Jamaica, but took me time connected. Holy Ghost affected. Me go profoundly in the Holy Ghost possession. Easter Sunday nights collect, drop off reflection. I keep my first mirror, second and third, pumpkin hip hop perspective. And solidarity, collaborative effort. And solidarity, collaborative. That's why I gypsy jazz, virtuosity, personified determination. So the finally that I got and knew why I said he must have pop opinion and take Lucy. God follow me, absorbing impact, full speed, body border frequency, sweet stop these love and classy breaking evenly. Rarity round here, but I'm still loving the scenery. Steals in the ride of winter seas don't appeal to me. Rockin' the summer, buskin' 21st Street, Atlantic. Also waiting time to shoot scenes for her documentary. She told me one night on the corner, she box. I can miscrow search, put this together, solid collaborative effort. Took some time to weave off with a little LeBron pressure, that's what it takes sometimes when you create the shine. Say preposition of touch, this outlines while still laying in bar. Then the last machine, supreme power and law. Kids work to the walls, eyesight stay locked in all. Our minds confirming the call, body high, chilling time pulling in the bar. Applaud all endeavors, full time forever sever. Add intuition, collaborative effort. Add intuition and collaborative effort. Add intuition and collaborative.
This is bullshit.
Fuck.
Just like old times, man.
Yeah, man. One more time for Darrell, please. Up next, help me welcome to the stage Michael Hyde.
In a room painted nicotine, I met the son of the moon. I was a shady motherfucker. His words. I didn't argue. He was kind of a bastard. He held court in the haze. Bedazzled, nerdy, gothy, outcast, know-nothing. Patterned overtures of longing to be held, of yearning to be just, of the fact of gun violence, of fuck class, of careening down roads of uncomfortable reality. I chased love, or was constantly sorry. He deliberately did neither. I found it admirable dickish, but admirable. He had crushes, vices, helped me remember he wasn't inhuman. He held court over admirers and loathers likewise, enwrapped in syllabic beats between cigarette breaths, in the break-beat, rhyme-inducing, all-infusing sound of poetry. Bent words, broke meanings, always raging. He held court. A maniacal, ceaseless advocate for whatever idea burned in him in the moment, knowing that an unused muscle atrophies. He held court, and now his court has ended. The moon will never burn as bright, or cast as deep a shadow. But as long as his memory endures in me, my muscle, though much weaker, will never shrink to nothing. I haven't written in over a decade. I got the call from Cheryl yesterday and decided this needs to be done. And I am so goddamn proud to be here tonight with all of you. If you'll indulge me once more, I'd like to read a poem that he was jealous of. This is called Rumor. It's very short. Excuse me. In crisp silence there came starlight, wearing the bed sheets of my sin. We tumbled drunk into fashionable doilies. She clamored the throes of existentialism, put poxes on peas and mattresses, with just enough irony to make my face crack at the corners. And we rolled spectacularly in harvest moonlight and broken beer bottles, albeit the glass was sharp and the moon burned our backs. We coddled the devil into a deal, knowing one of us was going to get one over on the other. Or so I'm told.
Next, sharing with us, please help me welcome Lisa Kendrick.
I think it's a testament to life. I mean, there's a room full of everyone from baby boomers to Gen Ys that are person influenced. So I think that the crowd here says it all. But when I got the news, I had taken the day off from work. I was playing hooky, and I sat in my car in Target and cried and wrote this poem. And I'm never sure he was a big fan of my poetry, but it made me feel better and maybe it makes someone feel better. Goodbye, poet. Your banshee will come. Bend down above your flesh, hook fingertips to your soul, grasp your essence in her fist. Your life a lightning bug, bones left for the bacterium blossoming from your last breath. Where she takes spirits, the living can only guess, but you are there, brandishing words, spitting about socialism, and arguing with all the elementals. Your banshee will come, her silvery locks against your cheek, blood washing out of your veins, fungi decorating your shroud. She loves her poets the most. Your soul an ornament round her neck, but she has no claim to our memories, no right to the ink you left us on pages.
I haven't had an opportunity to introduce this next performer in a really, really long time. she is also a former host of the open mic here at the venue, and probably not a stranger to anyone in the room. Help me welcome Sky Zenz.
Yeah.
First off, tonight has been very moving, and that has to do with every single one of you. I think as humans in this world, we are lucky if when our cycle of this body ends, we have affected one community. And Jeff affected many communities. And I'd kind of just like to, by show of hands, kind of draw attention to some of those communities represented here tonight. So obviously there are lots of people in the poetry community here who Jeff affected. Yes?
Yep.
Yes, there you are. And then there are lots of people in the music community. Where are you? Yep. Quietly, but there. And there are people in the photography community that Jeff affected. Where are you? I see you raising your hand quietly. So many of us were moved by him. I feel regretful that I didn't spend more time talking to him. But one thing that I always got from Jeff was humility. And so this is not a moment for me to share a story about what Jeff showed me, but instead I know that Jeff loved Cure. And I think the one thing that I can do for this room tonight that I think Jeff would want me to do, if Jeff could ask, was to lead you all in singing a song by Cure. And I think that Jeff would also want to dedicate this to Oliver. So, Oliver, this is for you. You guys can do all the parts. We're going to do this together. Dum, da, da, dum. Da, 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 da. Keep going. Dum, da, da, dum. Da, 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 da. Everybody, whenever I'm alone with you, da, 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 you make me feel like I am home again. Thank you. The first night that the venue opened, Malcolm and Jeff were hosting, and they asked me to be the first feature reader. And it was my third book release, Snow White Lies. Jeff designed the cover. Jeff saved my life. Raise your hand if Jeff saved your life. I'm the type of person that's really high functioning and depressive, and a lot of people don't know that about me. I think this room probably knows about me because this is where I come to process it. But the rest of the world doesn't know that. They don't know that when I'm running foundations and doing really big things. And when I get dark, there's very, very few people who know how to find me and know how to bring me back. And Jeff Hewitt was my last stop person, because he would crawl into whatever hole I was in. And he'd just sit, and he'd listen. And then he'd start talking smack about somebody, and then I'd have to defend that person. And, luckily, we have a lot of controversial friends, and it was really beautiful. I've been writing poetry since West End, and that's when I met Jeff. And West End, and Urban Safari, and Jaffe Art Center before that, and 40th Street Stage, and Casablanca, the venue, oh gosh, Slam Fest, Word, oh my gosh. Oh wait, if you guys don't know, the night that Jeff was robbed at Poetry's, he was a finalist at this amazing Slam Fest that happened, and he performed in Roper Theater, and he was the first of the final 3 to go, and the judges were on stage, and he brought the fucking house down.
Yes.
And then afterwards, they relocated the judges because apparently they couldn't hear. And Jeff didn't win. And he was robbed! He was so robbed! And he would tell you that story. And I just want you to know, I saw it, and he was robbed. He absolutely was robbed. I've known him for a long time. I've performed on stages with him and at every location in the world, more than anybody else in my life. And most recently, Jeff and I figured out how we were going to restart altdaily.com. We kind of stole the website.
He was so proud of that.
He saved it.
Saved it, stole it. You know, he was a pirate, I feel like. We were working to rebuild it, and there's a board of 8 of us that are have been bringing back as a nonprofit, and there's people in here who even gave us some legal advice how to do it without getting sued. So thank you, those people. I wanted nothing more for that to be the next phase of my life with Jeff, to be working on a board where he was an editor and maybe sometimes being the voice of reason when he had something else. And so I'm hoping that somehow that will continue on, and that we'll be able to be historians the way that Jeff was, through his poetry and through the way that he loved every single person in this room. It's very rare nowadays for me to write something, that perfect line, that perfect poem, and I never was happier than when I got to say, Jeff, I wrote something. And so I wanted to read the last poem that I did, that I had that moment, and I was able to call him and be like, I wrote a really fucking good line. It's a very, very short piece, but I think it has nothing to do with him, but it's something I think he loved. I could feel the ridges of your fingertips, like I was gently running my hand across a vinyl record. I imagined myself a needle, precariously placed between your grooves. You are a new song, one I would sing so loudly I would lose my voice. A song that could fill red rocks or shift the million fault lines in my heart. This must be how jazz musicians feel during perfect improvisational sets.
Yeah.
Woo!